بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته, brothers and sisters and friends. Welcome to the Global Dawah Movement Show, the GDM show. Today we're discussing something very significant. This is what we're saying in summary. Under atheism, under naturalism, which is the worldview that there is no supernatural, everything in the universe can be explained by physical processes. So under atheism, under naturalism, you can't trust your mind. Under atheism, under naturalism, you can't understand the universe. This is what we're saying, brothers and sisters, today. And the minute an atheist says to you, hey, use your brain, use your reason, use your rational faculties, use your intellect, and you'll find out that there are no gods, there is no God, he is presuming theism. He's presuming God's existence to be true. Because you can't justify a rational mind and you can't justify a rational universe in absence of God. And to explain this further, we have our beloved and formidable brother, Imran Hussein.
I'm not sure about the formidable bro.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. How you doing, bro?
Alhamdulillah, very
So what are we saying with this argument, bro?
Okay, so what we're saying, you summed it up in a very beautiful way, is that we have a rational mind and we have an intelligible universe, and both these realities are best explained via the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Okay, so there's three things to explain. What we mean by a rational mind, what we mean by a rational universe,
Yes.
and why it's explained by Allah. So, what do you mean by a rational mind?
Just before we do that, one point I want to really reiterate again that you made in the beginning is that an atheist, let's sum it up like this. If an atheist ever comes to you and says, let's have a rational discussion about God's existence.
Well, let's do it.
Yeah, okay.
I'm John the Atheist.
Right, nice to meet you, John the Atheist.
How you doing? Good to see
very,
you.
very
Listen,
good.
Imran Hussein, I've been watching some of your videos, reading some of your stuff, and I have to tell you that if you use your brain, you use your rational faculties, you use your reason, you do science, you will conclude, like I have, that there are no gods.
Excellent, John. Before we even get into a discussion, it's interesting you mentioned the word reason and rationality and use our brains. Because as soon as you speak about reason or rationality, how do you justify it from a naturalistic, atheistic perspective?
Well, I don't. Well, my rational faculties have come from. They're based on neurochemical pathways.
Okay, no, sure. Let's go back.
Firings and neurons, and that's based on molecules, and those things are based on atoms, which are physical stuff.
Physical stuff. What type of physical stuff? It's blind, random, irrational, dead physical stuff. Random physical stuff. And that's the expression.
Exactly.
That's how ridiculous it is. So this is why I wanted to really emphasize the point that they come across rational. They come across as intelligent. Maybe they wear a suit and a tie and then you think that they have something important to say, but they don't. As soon as they speak about rationality, they destroy their own argument, basically.
Because their worldview presupposes that rationality came from non-rational stuff.
Of course. And
non-rational, blind, cold, physical processes. And to believe such a thing is like believing something could come from nothing. Yeah. How can rationality come from non-rationality?
It's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. So, no understanding this, right? And that was, if anything, anyone's going to take away, that's the point they need to take away, right? And empower themselves from that perspective. But let's break it down. Now, what do we mean by a rational mind? Very simply, when we say a rational mind, we're talking about a mind which can understand and comprehend things, and a mind which can distinguish between truth and falsehood.
Okay.
Right? And when we're talking about an intelligible universe, we're talking about a universe which is ordered, which is governed by very distinctive laws, such as the laws of physics and the laws of logic, and a universe which is mathematically coherent.
So we have distinctive laws like the law of gravity, the electromagnetic force, the strong nuclear force. We have laws of nature. We have even the laws of logic, if you like, mathematics to understand the universe itself.
Yes.
Okay, so what you're saying here is just like what Einstein said. Because Einstein was shocked by this, wasn't he? He said, what's inconceivable about the universe is that it's at all conceivable, that you can't understand it.
Right? Not that it is conceivable, it's at all conceivable. It doesn't make sense.
Okay, so there's two things here. We have a rational mind, we trust our minds, we know 1 + 1 is equal to 2. Yeah. For example, we could distinguish between truths and non-truths, and we have a rational universe that has laws, distinctive laws, and it has a mathematical structure, if you like. Okay, so those two things are in place.
Yes.
Now, why is that best explained by God?
Okay, firstly, as we discussed and we really emphasized, naturalism doesn't have a foot in the door when it comes to explaining these two realities, right? And the funny thing is, both these realities are required to do science. What most atheist scientists do.
That's true.
But so it's a side point, interesting point. But the point is, naturalism has no explanation. To claim a rational mind and an intelligible universe is a result of blind, random physical processes, just atoms and gases colliding into each other, is ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. But from the Islamic perspective in particular, right now I'm mentioning this from Islamic perspective, it makes complete sense, right? Because, and let's try summing this up in this way. What is the purpose of our existence from the Islamic perspective?
Well, Allah says that we have been created to worship Him, which means to know Him, to love Him, and to obey Him.
Okay, good. So the primary focus is worship. This is what we've been created for. Now what's interesting is that throughout the Qur'an, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God seldom does He try proving His existence. What He does instead is take us from His existence to His worship.
Yes.
And one of the strategies employed is that God tells us to reflect over the physical creation, the universe.
So the key premise in the Qur'an when it talks about natural phenomena and reality
Yes.
is basically these verses are used as an assumption, as a premise to make you understand that God deserves to be worshipped.
Of course.
But you have to use your mind to do that.
Exactly.
And it's so it's no wonder that the Quran mentions aql, intellect, and your mind in the various linguistic forms around over 120 times. The Quran uses the word ilm, knowledge, in its various forms over 100 times. So the Quran is encouraging us to use our brains, to do tafakkur, to do reflection and tadabbur and pondering in order to conclude that He deserves to be worshipped.
Take the 3rd chapter where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, indeed in the creation of the heavens and the earth and the alternation of the night and day, and He has signs for people of understanding.
Yes.
Right? This isn't an isolated verse, there's many such verses.
Of course.
But what Allah is telling us, God is telling us that He's given us. This shows that He's given us something which we need to use to reflect over the universe, and that would lead us to His worship.
Yes, excellent.
Right? And that's so powerful from the Islamic perspective, right? And essentially, this highlights the mercy of Allah as well, the mercy of God as well. Why? Because look how insignificant we are. We're an insignificant dot on an insignificant planet, which is insignificant in relation to our solar system, which is insignificant in relation to other galaxies and so on and so forth. We're so insignificant, but yet God gave us a rational mind and gave us an intelligible universe so we can reflect over it, and that in turn would lead us to His worship. That just shows the mercy of the Creator, right?
It's like walking into a famous museum and seeing amazing artwork,
Yes.
being at awe of the artwork and using our rational faculties to be in awe of the artist.
Yes, of course. Or another example, going into a mansion, you see this lavish mansion, huge chandeliers and so on and so forth. And when you look at this, you're amazed. You're looking around and you think, who owns this?
Yes,
who built this, right?
Who built this?
But the irony is when an atheist goes into the same mansion or the same
museum,
art gallery,
yeah.
museum, he'll look at the painting, you'll appreciate the painting, but he'll be like, well, it came from nothing. He has no one to turn to and be in awe of. That's a sad reality if you think about it from that perspective, right? They're losing out.
Okay, so that's all fair enough. So we have a rational universe and a rational mind, and it's as if the rational mind is the key and the universe is the lock, and the key unlocks the secrets to the universe. Yes. It's as if we're designed to discover.
Of course, because we're rational in a particular way.
Exactly, but locks and keys are not random. They're designed. So we're designed to discover. Excellent. Contention though, my friend.
Yes.
An atheist can say, or someone who's a naturalist, or someone who is an empiricist and not a theist, they may say, but we have rational minds as a result of evolution via natural selection.
Okay, good. Let's address it in 2 simple ways. Number 1, there are many other creatures that exist on this earth which have existed for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years, who survive better than we survive.
Because evolution and via natural selection is about survival.
Yeah, and it's about having just enough. If it leads to survival, good. Not about additional extras. For example,
like logic, mathematics, physics.
It's not.
What do you call it? Metaphysical truths.
It's not necessary, right? Cockroaches don't sit over coffee and discuss quantum mechanics, but they survive fantastically.
They do because they breed a lot.
Yeah, of course.
And basically, they survive even nuclear holocaust.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. But they may say, well, our specific human brains, in order for humans to survive, we had to be rational.
Okay, for the sake of argument, if we accept what they're saying, which doesn't make sense from what we just discussed, if we accept it, well, the simple thing is, true beliefs as well as false beliefs both can result in survival, right? So our specific brains, which have the ability to distinguish between truth and falsehood, they're not necessary to develop.
Okay, quickly before we end, give me an example.
Okay, very simple example. I live in a 100-story building. I invite yourself and Brother Sabur over. You're a rational person. Your mind's working fine. Brother Sabur has just been hit by a bus maybe last week. He's lost it. It's not working. He's not working correctly upstairs. So therefore, he started to believe he has wings. He hallucinates he has wings, right? I call you both over to my flat. I tell you both to jump out the window. You being a rational person think, no, I'm going to die if I jump out. So you don't, right? Here's an example of a true belief which results in your survival. But Brother Sabur, on the other hand, believes, well, he has wings and he can fly, so he gets ready to jump out. But at the same time, he has another false belief, which is that he clipped his wings on the way out of his house the other day. Right? So his wings are damaged and he can't fly anymore. Right?
So that leads to survival too.
Yeah, so it shows true and
so
false
non-rational beliefs can lead to survival.
Yes. To what degree is irrelevant? That's not the point.
Yes.
The point is they can.
And if you think about, our minds have surpassed the kind of requirements of natural selection anyway, from that perspective. So why is, for example, thinking about metaphysical reality is necessary for survival?
No, in some ways it goes against survival. It goes against evolution.
Yeah, imagine
scientists never get married. They stand in a lab all day long and they're just sitting there looking through a microscope.
Excellent. Good to see you, bro. Thanks for that. So, brothers and sisters, just to summarize, under atheism and under naturalism, you can't justify your basic cognitive rational faculties, and you can't justify the fact that the universe can be rationalized in any shape or form, can be understood rationally. So from this perspective, don't even entertain the arguments. Go to the premise. You think you can use your brain and reject God? Well, how is it the fact that you have a brain that can reason? Please, tell me. Because under atheism, you can't justify it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.